Alright, welcome back, Lime Rock Classic. It's a classic. So we'll go through the setup here. This is significantly different. I did do a track guide a while back, last time the Ray was here. The setup has changed quite a bit. Certainly, if you have that old setup saved and you're happy with it, well, have at it. But I did change things up quite a bit, and I actually ended up dropping about 3/10 off my personal best and about 3/10 off my optimal time. So I did find this a fair bit quicker than the old setup. So ride height minus 21. I don't believe I've ever had the Ray this low before. But yeah, low, it's working pretty darn good. So minus 21 in the front, minus 20 in the back, just 1 millimeter higher in the back than in the front, just to keep the rake at a good proportion. Damper compression left that same, it's 20. Brake bias 58.5. That's a little bit on the high side for me. For you, brake bias is an individual thing. Turn one is really the biggest braking event on the lap. So just have it set so that you're not locking up and losing control into turn one, and then everything from there will just fall into place. Uh, Spring rates, soft as they go, all four corners, front and back, soft as they go. Camber, if you are just joining the Ray this season, if you're new to the car, I do change the cambers up depending on the track, and this time it is changed quite a bit. So basically it's 1.2 on the left and zero point 0.9 on the right in the front. Just for those who might be new to the channel, I've had some new subscribers. Changing the camber and toe in the iRacing setup is not always the most fun. Basically change this camber to minus 1.2, press apply over here. It may change the toe values on the same tire or even different tires. So you just have to change them back to minus 1.4, press apply, then do the same thing on the other side, 0.9, press apply, change the toes, 1.4, press apply, and it's, yeah, hopefully one day iRacing will make this a little bit more seamless. If you are not, I know there's a lot of people who are not a big fan of the asymmetrical camber setup. Just stick with the higher values. So keep it 1.2 both sides, keep it zero point 0.1 minus 1.0 on both sides in the rear. So anyway, toe is turned up. You need a lot of turn in for some of these tight corners. That also helps improve braking efficiency. Toe in the rear is zero point 0.3. Tires are getting hot on this track, and basically that 0.3 is keeping them within reason without going over 100 degrees. So yeah, minus 1 degree on the left and zero point 0.7 on the right. The left side is doing a lot more work than the right, and that is just to keep the tire temps a little more even. However, they are still a little bit out of whack, and to keep the wear a little bit more even as well. So in the bottom half here, we have got, oh, there we are. So yeah, minus 20 ride height. ARB is 10. There are a lot of tight corners here. You do need to rotate the car. 10 is kind of where you need to be. If you're new to Lime Rock, 5, try maybe your first tank of gas with a 5 just to get used to it. There are some high speed corners here where you can lose it pretty easy, but you do need the rotation. 10 is going to get you around quicker. Compression in the rear, 4 and 18, that's left the same. Fuel levels. So if you are in the top split and the leader gets away clean and starts putting in some really hot laps, you are probably going to need 14 liters to get to the end. If you are not in the top split, hopefully participation is up. Hopefully there's a second and third and fourth split. If you are in the lower splits, you can probably get away with 13 liters. If the race leaders putting in some I think 130 134s, 135s. 13 liters should get you to the end. However, you may want to just stick with 14 liters to be safe. Gear stack standard. Short ain't gonna work. Standard is good. You do reach the rev limit on the start-finish straight before the braking zone, but not too much before the braking zone. If you are one of the faithful using a stick, I think the standard is still gonna work well for you. However, if you're struggling through turns 1 and 2 where you do kind of have to shift a little awkwardly, you may want to try tall. Short is not going to work though. So yeah, that is the setup. So we got conditions 21 degrees. It's been I think 24 degrees in the practice sessions I did. So pretty representative. Usage is 36%, so it's not a gift. So we'll start the guide, go in slow motion through the corners, and then run it out at full speed. So coming into turn 1, 4th gear, you can see I am at the rev limit now. Looking for the 2 board and braking just before it. Shifting down into 3rd gear. Pretty good blast of brakes just to get an initial slowdown in the car. Get the car slowed down, get the turn in going. And you really want to get up tight against the curb here, but you don't want to be on it. This is also going to be a very big passing zone. As you can see, the track has got some camber here. If you are on the outside and someone's got the inside, it's hard to carry the speed on the outside. Also, you have to have a lot of faith in the guy on the inside that he is not going to run wide and kill you, so just be aware of that. So yeah, 3rd gear, and then just managing the throttle. You don't want to be sliding sideways through here. That is going to slow you down, and just keeping it tight up against the curb here. Shifting down into 2nd, just before the end of the curb of this first one, shifting down into 2nd, and then letting the car run out to about mid-track. You can keep a tighter line if you want through here. It does cost you a little bit in the long run, but it does carry you through a little bit faster. And just managing the throttle, picking it up, and just wanting to run out to the mid track so you can have a cleaner entry into this next apex and get on the throttle earlier. Getting on the throttle early here is going to aggregate save you time by the time you get to the next braking zone. You can use all of this track on exit. Watch out, people running wide here hitting the grass. They are going to come across the track or go through the next corner, so do watch out for that. And then in 3rd gear, and what I'm looking for getting over to the right is this light post. The 2nd one away from the Marshall box here in your field of view, depending on what you're using, that may or may not be so easy to spot, but there's not really any great marker. Turning in there and just having a little bit of a lift just before that light marker, and then as you kind of come around the corner here, shifting down into 2nd, just before the curbs start up. And again, just sort of managing the throttle, lifting and managing the throttle and getting onto this curb. You do want to make use of this curb for sure. You do not want to run out wide here. You have to keep it tight to the left to open up the next corner. If you do not, you are going to lose a tremendous amount of time. And then you can use the signage on the left here. That's probably your best bet as a marker. I have the bad habit of using this kink in the track, which is absolutely fine unless there's a car in front of you and you can't see it. So just watch out for that. In 2nd gear, turning in at that kink, you do not want to turn in here too early. If you turn in here too early, you're going to be in trouble. Shifting up into 3rd gear as soon as you can. You can make use of this curb. The ride height I have set quite low. So it is a bit disruptive. I would suggest stay off that curb unless you have your ride height turned up a little higher. 3rd gear, and then just opening up the wheel using all the track here on exit. Again, just watch out, don't go over that curb. The grass will kill you. Coming into the next one, 4th gear. Again, if someone is on the inside, you must have a lot of faith in them. if you are on the outside. Otherwise, you're good chance you're going to die. Again, a little kink in the track, so about midway through this curb section, you could kind of use this barrier on the right here maybe as a guide. Again, I have the bad habit of using this kink in the track, which I won't be able to see if there's a car in front of me. But fourth gear and then just lifting, turning in, just a short lift, a little quick lift just to get the turn in of the car, and then just picking up the throttle gently, making sure again you're not scrubbing too much speed, sliding sideways. You do have to get up tight against this curb. You don't really, again with the ride height, want to get on that curb unless you have the ride height turned up a little bit more. And then yeah, just watch out. You gotta get the wheel straight as you come over this hill. If your wheel is turned, life is not going to be good as you come over that hill. So again, depending on your field of view, I use these two dark fir trees as a guide. So you may or may not be able to see that. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of great markers. But just shifting down into third as you kind of get alongside those trees, and then just a bit of a lift, and then just managing the throttle. This curb is not optional. Do not touch this curb. This one is deadly. It will spin you out. It will shoot you into the grass. It will do a whole lot of things. So yeah, just managing the throttle, just a little bit of a lift there just to make sure you don't slide wide and get an X. If you touch this grass, it's usually not a bad thing as long as you don't try and crank the wheel to get back on track. If you rub this grass a little bit, it's not faster, and you will get an X, but not the end of the world. And then just working your way up into fourth gear. And again, another bad habit. So there's no real great marker here, but basically the I don't know what you call it, the bottom of the hill, the end of the downhill and the start of the flat section, that's what I'm using as a marker to turn in, and just a bit of a lift, well, big lift, just to get the car turned in again, and then just picking up the throttle, easy on the throttle. Again, you don't want to be sliding wide. That is going to slow you down. And again, not wanting to really get onto this curb, just hugging the edge of it. These less these shallower cement curbs aren't the end of the world if you do get on them, even with this ride height, but I find it's not faster. And then just full throttle. If you nail, so in quality, watch out, you have to nail this corner, because if you don't, if you mess this one up, you're compromised into turn one on your next lap. In a race, you have to nail this one. If you don't, the cars behind you, if they do nail it, they are going to eat you up. If the car in front of you did not make that corner very well and you did, this is going to be a really good passing opportunity. Very hard to pass on this track. This section is going to be one of the biggest spots to make a pass, and practice defensive lines, because yeah, it's going to be a lot of battles down this straight. So 53.5, yeah, and an optimum 53.3. So I did shave off quite a bit of time. Good luck out there. This track can be a lot of fun to race on. It can also be a bit of a nightmare, depending on who you're driving with. So good luck. We'll see you next time. We'll run it out at full speed.